I mean, at least to me, before I didn't know you like as an actor, kind of like I didn't know who you were. But then with all these like new roles, like Thor and everything, like you've been a household name. Like every other meme I read is you. So I just want to ask, like, can you give a little background, like how you started and just kind of how it was like for you?
Yeah, it was when I finished high school. I went and did a couple of drama courses and just kind of fell in love with acting, and then did a couple of TV shows and did a soap opera for 3 years in Australia, which was some of the best training I could have had. It was like 20 scenes a day and 5 episodes a week and scripts that weren't that good a lot of the time, so you've got to work even harder, and it's the kind of thing you're thrown in the deep end and you sink or swim, and according to, you really have to work. And then you get to the film set and you've got scripts that have been worked on for years and millions of dollars put in, and it takes 3 days to shoot one scene, and you have all this time and support. So that was really my sort of foundation doing that show, and for soap operas, you often sort of get pushed aside as, they're soaps, they're easy or what have you, but I found that was the hardest thing, and most people I think have done that have far more, or appreciation for it than previous.
Well, once again, dude, you rock, and
thanks,
I expect a picture and an autograph later.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Hemsworth.
Hello.
My name's Henry.
Hi, Mr. Henry. How are you?
What was your favorite superhero when you grew up?
Probably Superman. It was a couple of men, it's not me. I mean, Batman? Batman and Superman were the most prominent, I think, growing up, and the ones I knew the most about. So both of them. How about you? Who's your favourite?
Thor.
Thank you, sweetie. Yes.
Hi, Chris. So my question was already answered, but I have a request. It may not be my birthday, but can I have a hug?
We can start a line in a second. Come on, get up here. This is a tricky hug environment. Yeah.
Damn, she stole my line. I just had a photo op with you, and actually the photo op was my birthday present from my family.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no lie, no joke. I also don't want to be redundant, but I think I speak for the women of the planet. When they are equally thankful that you are supernaturally hot. And all the fantasies that you've provided for all the women of the planet, I'm just representing right now. But I also, thank you. I also wanted to ask you, I know you've been a surfer, and I was wondering, because I've known a bunch of surfers in my time, and it can be very intense and spiritual and all that stuff. I was just wondering if there's any way specifically that you feel like being a surfer has affected your acting career, or you as an actor, or informed you as an actor.
I think anything that, any sort of sport or hobby or anything you do that you love and are passionate about, just it helps you grow as a person. Sure, if I was stressed about something at work, and that was surfing was, growing up, what I'd go and do, which would, get rid of that for me. Yeah, definitely. I had this, there was a guy for Thor who helped us. He was a movement guy, and he helped with sort of Thor, and he was talking about the energy of him and the fight sequences, and he kept saying, "Oh, you surf, I think in that sort of stance." And you look at the comic books, and he does have that sort of posture, and so funny enough, there was a bit of a connection.
That's great, thank you.
Do you have much time to surf in LA? No.
If I'm not working, yeah, but I've been in London for a while, and there's no surf there.
And I would also like to thank you because I've always wanted to meet you, and thank you for making not just my day special, but for everyone else in this room too.
Thanks.
That's nice.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, yes. In the cap over here. It's all you.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Kato says hi.
Okay, oh, that's it. Yeah, right, there you go. Yeah, good work. Nice costume.
Thank you, sir. And obviously we know Kato would win against Thor, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If Thor was asleep.
I have to agree, sir. My wife and I are big fans, obviously. Thank you. I think the first Thor was absolutely fantastic. Sharing the limelight with the other Avengers obviously took away from Thor, but hopefully we see you again in a sequel to Thor itself.
Yeah.
My question being is, how physical was the first Thor?
It was really physical. A lot of the time was spent working out and trying to keep that weight, put on the weight. You know, the thing about Thor also was a lot of those fight sequences in the hospital and then at the shield camp where Thor without his powers, so it was just us in the mud and kind of even more physical actually than when Thor's Thor, because that's a whole lot of sort of wire work, the hammer and whatever. This was, well, you know, hand-to-hand combat, and it was great, but exhausting.
That's what I wondered, how tiring it was. Sir, thank you for gracing us with your presence at Philadelphia Comic Con!
Very early on, and then led into just an appreciation for this. I wish I'd discovered comic books earlier, because I feel like I'm playing catch-up constantly to look into the world that's so rich and detailed. But yeah, it was never sort of in my circles. It is now.
Well,
Thank you very much. Keep doing wonderful work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Hi, I just got two things to say. What was the funniest thing that happened on set during Avengers?
The funniest thing on the spot, let me think. I mean, there's a constant sort of costume malfunctions, which, you know, you see the movie and everyone looks very cool and heroic, and, you know, and then you're doing a scene with Loki and one of his horns are falling off. It's like, wait, stop, you know, glue it back on. It's like, literally, I was like, oh, this is not cool. It's always pretty funny. I mean, me and Tom had a lot of fun, you know, on Thor and Avengers. It just, most of our stuff was always together, and especially our fight scenes kind of would start off great, and then we'd both get either a little too hyped up, and he'd end up smashing me in the head with a spear, or, you know, I think I elbowed him in the nose at one point. It was kind of an accident, but he started it. It's funny trying to fight, the hammer's like this long, and he's got this massive spear, and we're trying to fight like you would with a sword, so it's like, this is the section he has to hit exactly, otherwise he hits my hand. And 7 times out of 10, it was my hand he was hitting. It was just like, you know. But, no, that was pretty funny. For him.
You and Claire, who would win in a fight, Thor or Glory?
Say that again?
Who would win in a fight, Thor or Glory?
Oh, well.
I don't know. It's an even match.
I think she'd win.
I lost my hammer. All right, yes.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that as many women can agree, thank you for making Thor look so gorgeous.
I thank my parents for that. That built me, that put me together.
But real quick, my question was, in the first movie, Thor, what was it like working with Anthony Hopkins? He's one of also one of my favorite actors.
That was the highlight of my career, of my life. You know, he's always been a big hero to me, and it's people like that you just can't help but absorb and learn from. And absolutely no ego with him. You know, someone who everybody on set kind of wants to bow to, or, you know, just because he's a god, you know. And always, you know, there with advice if needed, and just such an appreciation for the business, you know, even however many films later, you know, has been in the industry for this long. He still loves making films, and that's infectious to be around.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, Iron Man kind of started all of it, and so Robert Downey, you know, sort of is the godfather, I think, of the Marvel world, and for all of us on that set. You know, he kicked it all off and led the charge. You know, I loved what Mark Ruffalo did with the Hulk. You know, I mean, yeah. I think that was my favourite. You know, one of my favourite characters, watching what he did, and just those sequences, you know, Thor and Hulk fighting, especially when he backhands Thor through the wall. I remember reading that, and on the page it said, "And Hulk smashes Thor in his big Norse face." So cool.
All right, how about you?
Hi, I was just hoping that you could speak to us a little bit about what it was like working with Joss.
So Joss wrote Cabin in the Woods with Drew Goddard, who directed it, and but Joss was, you know, he wasn't directing Cabin, but he was on set all the time and right in there with, you know, input and what have you. But it's just like the work you see, for whether it's Cabin in the Woods or Buffy or Avengers, there's just that great sense of humour and lightness to the characters, yet they're, you know, always far more sort of interesting and complicated, and you know, there's a whole lot going on underneath it all. That's what's so good about him. You can have that sort of 1-2 gag and what have you, but you look closer and there's often a pretty strong message under there. So he's highly intelligent and witty and funny, and Avengers was much different to working with Kenneth Branagh. You know, that was a constant sort of actor-director discussion about character, and Joss is like a fan. You know, he'd be like, "Cool, that's awesome." You know, next shot. That was a lot of fun to be on set and work with.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Did Joss write in the shawarma scene, or was that?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I mean, we arrived in LA for the premiere, and they said, "Just quickly, we've got one thing we want to shoot with all of you tomorrow." We're like, and I'd lost like 30 pounds. You know, like the costume's not even going to fit me. Like, it's okay, just gonna hunch over and we'll pull the wig down a bit. And, yeah, pump up the suit. But it was a very last minute thing. I haven't actually seen it yet. So
it's amazing.
There it is. Us eating. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Chris. I was wondering, how did working on the Avengers differ from working on Thor? Like, was it easier to play the character as part of a team or in a solo effort?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Thor was obviously Thor's journey, you know, so which is great because you get all the attention with the director, and it's a lot more kind of just you and him, detailed for rehearsal and discussion, and you really know what you're doing, your through line. But it's also nerve-wracking because you're carrying the thing on your shoulders. It was nice to walk into Avengers and have that responsibility shared among those guys, but also intimidating because it's Robert Downey and Sam Jackson and, you know, a bunch of people who I've, you know, have admired for years. So sort of, you know, there were similarities and, you know, through it, but different directors, certainly a different process, but both, you know, I've never played the same character but with two different directors, and it's interesting how the character does change according to that. But yeah, a lot of fun both times.
One that you've ever been a fan of that you'd like to see a movie?
Yeah, the film I just did with Ron Howard is based on a guy, James Hunt, who was a Formula One race car driver in the 70s, and that was exciting. You know, and I'm a fan of that guy just because Formula One is not very popular in this country. It's, I think, the biggest sport, you know, in Europe, but it's never sort of taken off here. And so we, I think, enjoyed the challenge. But also in the 70s, it was like, you know, 4 or 5 people were dying a year in you know, racing these cars, and they were like gladiators, and highly, you know, adrenaline-fueled, dangerous sort of world. And this character in particular, James, was this, you know, very visceral, had an animalistic kind of approach to life and to racing, and all fueled from the gut, and a fascinating guy, you know. And that was that was sort of a dream to take that and then bring it to the screen.